Mercedes Sosa here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Well, from the events in Honduras, we step back to reflect on how the media has been covering the coup in that country. Last week, award-winning investigative journalist and documentary filmmaker John Pilger was visiting the United States. He was born in Australia but has lived in London since the 60s and began his career as a hard-hitting war reporter covering the Vietnam War. He's written close to a dozen books and made over 50 documentaries on subjects ranging from struggles around the world for a more just and peaceful society and against Western military and economic intervention, films on East Timor, Cambodia, Vietnam, Iraq, Israel, Palestine, and the United States. Well, last week, I had a wide-ranging conversation with John Pilger on Honduras, Iran, Gaza, the media, healthcare, and Obama's wars in Afghanistan and Pakistan. I began by asking John Pilger to comment on the current state of the mainstream media and how it shapes our perceptions and priorities.
I don't believe anything has changed, and if it is going to change, if in the Middle East, as in other parts of the world, I think one of the really significant and building areas of discussion, and indeed it's been building for the last few years, is just the kind of information we get through the so-called mainstream. We have many alternative sources of information now, not least of all your own program, though I wouldn't call that alternative. But for most people, the primary source of their information is the mainstream. It is mainly television, even the internet. For all its its subversiveness, has still a very large component of the mainstream, and that means that we're getting still this, either it's a singular message about wars, about the economy, about all those things that touch our lives, or we're getting what I would call a kind of contrived silence, a censorship by omission. I think this is almost the principal issue of today, because without information, we can't possibly begin to influence governments. We can't possibly begin to end the wars. All of this, it seems to me, has come together in the presidency of Barack Obama, who is almost a creation of this media world. He promised some things, although most of them were amorphous, and has delivered virtually the opposite. He's started his own war in Pakistan. We see the events in Iran and Honduras being quite subtly but very directly influenced in the time-honored way by the Obama administration. And yet the Obama administration is still given this extraordinary benefit of the doubt by people who, in my view, are influenced by mainstream media. It's a time when I think we're either going to begin to understand how the media really works, or we're going to let that opportunity pass. It's a almost an historic opportunity that we understand that the perception of our world is utterly distorted most of the time through what are seen as credible sources of information.
John, talk about the contrast between the media coverage of the Iranian elections and the Honduran coup and the response to it on the ground.
Well, you take the New York Times. The New York Times basically has said that, in so many words, that the Iranian protests represent a mass movement embracing the majority in that country. Now, there's no doubt that among the people protesting, the many people protesting in the streets of Iran, are those who want another Iran, those who want greater freedoms. We've heard from them in the past. But without any smoking gun, without any credible information, without any evidence that that election in Iran was rigged, to get rid of something like 10 million votes. I mean, I don't think anyone doubts that in an election like Iran's, like an election in the United States, there is fraud. In most elections there are, and there may well have been extensive fraud in the Iranian election. But the way our perception of those events in Iran has been manipulated is to suggest that this was a great a revolution that was set to overthrow the Islamic Revolution of 1979. That's just simply not true. That has preoccupied the mainstream media, has been on the front pages and top of the news and the networks. Contrast that with Honduras. Yes, it has been a news item, but way at the end of Michael Jackson. And we've, as a main component of this news item, has been the Obama administration's alleged condemnation of the Honduran coup. But if you look at the condemnation, which is built on the fact that they said that well, they tried to dissuade the Honduran military from staging the coup, and I have to say Hillary Clinton doesn't want to call it a coup, because if she called it a coup, the Foreign Assistance Act would kick in, and she'd have to withdraw all the military support to the 600 U.S. military personnel who are based in Honduras. But she said, and administration officials have said, look, we tried to persuade the Honduran military from going ahead with this. Well, it turned that around, is that means that they knew that a coup was coming. And it just beggars belief that they didn't play a major role in the events that may well have got out of their control. They may well have not wanted the coup in its present form, in its present crude form, to happen. But they knew about it. It so parallels the 2002 coup against Chavez. Now, that story, which really is the kernel of that news story, it is really what matters in that news story. Did the U.S. play its traditional role or not? And why has the elected president of Honduras been kicked out of his country? That's been relegated. So you have two news stories. You have the Iranian story of protests for freedom. That's approved. That's a worthy story. You have the Honduras story of our friends in the South just getting a little bit out of control. That's an unworthy story. Two different perceptions in two very, very important areas.
I wanted to play for you a clip of David Gregory on NBC. He replaced Tim Russer as the moderator of Meet the Press. And he was interviewing Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the midst of the crackdown on the protests in Iran.
Does the United States have a unique role to play here in continuing to support this freedom movement, as you call it, in Iran? An obligation to support the protesters, to really give them moral support at the very least?
I think it's clear that that the United States, the people of the United States, the President of the United States, free people everywhere, decent people everywhere,